Bible Lessons Daily. Ancient truth for modern life.
It is incredibly common to build a life that looks perfectly successful to everyone else while feeling completely empty on the inside. 2,000 years ago, a man named Nicodemus lived this exact paradox. He sat at the absolute top of the social ladder in ancient Jerusalem. He possessed massive wealth, heavy political power, and universal respect. As a senior member of the religious elite, he was viewed as a master. When people had complex problems, they came to him, fully expecting him to have all the answers. But his flawless resume masked a quiet crisis. He followed every societal rule to the letter, strictly managing his public image, yet he still felt a deep, nagging void. Accumulating titles and maintaining perfect external behavior cannot cure a hollow spirit. To find relief, Nicodemus sought out a controversial new teacher named Jesus, but he crept through the dark alleys of the city late at night to secure a private, hidden meeting. He was terrified of being seen. If his powerful colleagues on the ruling council caught him consulting an uncredentialed outsider, his reputation would collapse entirely. We still struggle with this today, that heavy dread of losing the respect of our peers or admitting that we don't have all the answers after all. Worrying about the judgment of peers keeps people trapped in the shadows, actively preventing them from asking the exact questions that could bring them relief. In that quiet, dimly lit room, Nicodemus tries to figure Jesus out. He approaches the conversation by applying his usual rigid, analytical logic. Jesus bypasses the intellectual debate entirely. He tells Nicodemus a blunt truth. To see God's kingdom, a person must be born again. Nicodemus takes this entirely literally. He asks about the biological impossibility of a grown man re-entering his mother's womb a second time. Nicodemus is stuck thinking about the physical hardware of the human body. Jesus, however, is offering to install an entirely new operating system. Jesus explains that this new birth happens in the spirit. It is a separate layer of reality that operates free from biological rules and physical constraints. Trying to fix a spiritual crisis by applying purely physical, logical rules will always lead to a dead end. This deep confusion leads Jesus to deliver the core message found in the most famous verse in history, John 3:16. This diagram shows the exhausting cycle of traditional religion. Nicodemus carried the heavy burden of checking boxes and climbing grids, trying to earn divine favor. Jesus introduces a different way, relationship. There is no earning. The rigid grids are replaced by receiving unconditional love. For a member of the religious elite, this is a terrifying prospect. If love is given freely to everyone, he completely loses his ability to prove he is superior through his own good behavior. True spiritual renewal is never a transaction where you trade good deeds for favor. It is surrendering your pride to accept love. We see the long-term result of this midnight conversation years later, in the immediate aftermath of Jesus' crucifixion. Nicodemus steps completely into the daylight. He brings a massive, expensive mixture of spices and publicly assists in burying Jesus. The man who once crept through dark alleys to protect his status is now risking his entire reputation in front of everyone. The opinions of his powerful peers no longer control him. Genuine internal change eventually becomes impossible to hide. It naturally produces bold, fearless action in the light of day. Do not let the fear of other people's opinions keep you hiding in the dark. Swapping out a few habits or polishing your public image leaves the internal void untouched. Only a total rebirth can reach that deep. You can accumulate maximum wealth, achieve top social status, and maintain flawless public behavior, and still be unable to buy a fresh start. A new life is a gift. You receive it entirely through relationship, rather than earning it as a prize for following the rules.
What lesson spoke to your heart today? Tell us in the comments and subscribe for daily Bible wisdom.